You want anything?
You know what I want? I want a lot of things. I want to be with the woman I love on Valentine's Day. And I want her to love me back. And I want just one more. Moment of relief from the gut-wrenching pain and knowing that that's never going to happen.
We have red bagels.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good enough. Joy from Friends may not have been able to find love on Valentine's Day, but biological anthropologist Helen Fisher tells us despite the pandemic, remarkably, we're in the midst of a dating renaissance. A report from Fisher and the dating site Match found that singles are now making more time to look for love. They're refining what they're looking for in a partner and rethinking how and where they find love. Helen Fisher is also Chief Scientific Advisor for Match. Helen, good morning. Thanks for being with us. How can we possibly be having a dating renaissance when it's so hard to meet people right now?
Well, it's even easier. First of all, you are absolutely correct. COVID is being killed by Cupid. Cupid is winning. And in fact, what we found with Match, I do an annual study called Singles in America, and we did our last study, it's science, it's real science, last July in the middle of the pandemic. And as it turns out, singles are spending a lot more time talking to people before they go out in person, obviously. They're having more meaningful conversations. They're being more honest and more transparent in those conversations, and they're doing more self-disclosure, both men and women. And self-disclosure leads to intimacy. And last but not least, they're caring less about what they look like and what a possible partner would look like, and much more about whether this person is economically, has a full-time job and is economically stable, financially stable. So I'm calling it intentional dating, and there's no question about it that people are piling into dating sites. Actually, they're not even dating sites. They're introducing sites. Yeah. And certainly with Match, but all of the others too. They've got time to do it, and they're earnest about it. The bad boy and the bad girl are over.
But at the same time, you say the pandemic has kind of slowed this whole process down in a good way.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it not only, I mean, I hate to say that there's anything good about this pandemic, but the bottom line is what we're really seeing is the emergence of a new stage in the dating process. You know, before the pandemic, you met, you know, on the internet, and then you went out and met in person. Yeah. And now there is the real rise of video chatting. And with that, sex is off the table, money is off the table, you got time to talk to the person. And what we found at Match, well, it's not at Match, but in the study with Match, Singles in America, we found that 50% of people who went on to start video chatting fell in love. They fell in love with somebody during COVID.
You know, Helen, it's Tony here. I wonder, and forgive me, I'm like the unfrozen caveman here who's been married forever and has never online dated, but when you're talking to people on Zoom to date, even if you like their personality, aren't you missing that crucial component of seeing them in the flesh, maybe getting a whiff of perfume or of cologne or of whatever? Isn't that essential to falling in love and, you know, what comes next?
It's one of the parts of falling in love, but actually we're being called the new Victorians. I mean, an awful lot of young singles and singles around the country actually don't want to get out into that first date and deal with the, you know, with the sex. Do I kiss him? Do I hold her hand? How do I handle this? They don't have to decide whether they're going to go to a fancy bar or a very cheap coffee shop. It's all off the table, and they have a lot of time to decide whether they're going to go out and meet somebody in person. I mean, now with the video chatting, it's it's a vetting process, and over 50% of singles met somebody on the internet and decided they didn't want to go and meet them in person, and as much as 64% did. But you know, we are talking, they call it love at first sight. They don't call it first smell or love at first text. They call it love at first sight. And you can see somebody on the internet. I mean, you can see where they live, you can see the way they smile and move, and you know, a great deal about them. And you know, the brain, I put people in brain scanners and study the brain circuitry of romantic love. It's like a sleeping cat. It can be triggered instantly. Just when somebody says something funny or somebody says something sweet or kind, and it can easily be done on the internet, and that's exactly what's happening.
Helen, it's always a thorough pleasure talking to you. We appreciate it.
Like a sleeping cat. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that
a lot.
too.